Okay, I do not believe that man ever walked on the moon. And I would love to know what you think about this, because I have been down many a rabbit hole with this. And the first time someone said this to me, we never walked on the moon, so confidently, I was like, are you crazy? Of course, what do you mean? Of course we did. Neil Armstrong was the first man to walk on the moon. But when someone planted that seed and I started looking into it and going down the rabbit holes, I was like astounded. I mean, there's countless interviews of Buzz Aldrin saying this on live television. We never went there. What do you think?
You told me that the earth is flat.
Okay.
Anybody who heard that might think, this guy, this guy is gone.
No, that's fairly common knowledge, really.
So from where? Give me some proof. Give me some.
No, do you use TikTok?
I use TikTok.
Okay.
I see people say this, but when I see people say it, like there's some people, I respect other things they say, but when I see that, I'm always like, okay, this territory is, forbidden territory. Let me just move away from this. But since you've mentioned it, I want to know. I want to know.
So, well, basically, it's not anything that complex. I just follow the scriptures, really. Scripture describes it as flat.
Where?
Really. Where does it describe it as round? I just flipped that over. So it says the earth, it talks about the ends of the earth.
Yeah.
You can't have an end if
a
it
round
is.
shape.
Yeah. So it's more like maybe the base of this mic, something like that. That's what. And it says the face of the earth. You see? So like your face is there's this model of, so it's something like this. It's a face. It's more like, and it's got a firmament dome, by the way. You see?
Okay. So you're saying it's not like a ball?
No, it's more like a semicircle, as it were. Hemisphere, rather.
So like
hemisphere, like this plate of fruit.
Okay.
Hemisphere, like that. Like someone's face halfway, and this is cut.
So flat but round on the side.
Yes, like
flat.
this, yes. So, rotation of the earth, the sun can move. Yeah? What else? Landing on the moon, come on, that's the joke. That's a Hollywood movie.
But if the earth is flat, how come no one has fallen off the side?
No, there's a dome covering it, the way the scriptures describe it. It's in the book of Enoch. There's a dome covering it.
Now that all of the suspicious inconsistencies about this Celebrity Blue Origin space mission are coming out, I think now is a perfect time to make a video about the moon landing, one of the most controversial subjects of our time. Because personally, I don't believe that we went for a dang second, but before you chalk me up as a crazy conspiracy theorist, let me point out all of the inconsistencies and points that brought me to this conclusion, because the truth really is stranger than fiction, and I have a lot to unfold, so stick with me until the end. And please watch with an open mind. So other than the fact that we haven't been back in over 50 years and we destroyed the technology and the original footage of the greatest achievement in American or human history, let's talk about the astronauts that walked on the moon themselves. First, we have Buzz Aldrin, who publicly stated not once but 3 times that we have not gone and that we did not go to the moon. Roll clip.
What was the scariest moment of the journey?
Scariest. It didn't happen. It could have been scary.
We went down and we watched you guys land on the moon,
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation. So you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
Yeah, I know.
Well, but what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curved-top radio and listened.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It's
A
exciting.
few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Wow. Yeah.
Has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. It's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and And that's the way it happened. And
Next, we have Neil Armstrong, who refuses to swear on the Bible that we walked on the moon, which, okay, nobody is requiring him to do so, but he also refused to have his photo taken on the moon, and he quit NASA just 2 years after walking on the moon. Was he ready to retire, or was he feeling guilty for lying to the entire American public? I guess we will never know, but the video footage taken of the astronauts directly after they got back from the moon mission makes me feel like he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. This was them before the moon mission, and this was them directly after. You can't tell me that they don't look like a bunch of guilty dogs. Like they just got back from walking on the moon. If I just got back from walking on the moon, I would not be able to stop talking about it. But they look like they don't want to talk about it at all. Maybe it's just me, but they literally look like they were being interrogated. And they also said that they didn't see any stars while they were on the moon, but you'd think that being on a rock in space with no atmosphere, you'd have the clearest view of the stars and the Milky Way galaxy that anybody has ever had.
We're never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
They didn't even take one photo of the stars from the moon. But whatever, they said it was too bright. They said it was daytime on the moon, which this photo was taken from the moon landing, and the bottom half of Earth is in darkness, which would mean that it would be daytime. But if the sun was directly overhead of them, like how the Earth showed in the last photo that I showed you, how are their shadows incredibly long? This would mean that the sun would have to be directly to the side of them and not overhead. I've also seen the argument that multiple objects had shadows pointing in different directions, which would be entirely impossible if their only source of light was the sun, which is what they said. But to create two objects having different directional shadows like this, you would have to have two sources of light, like on a movie set. Space may be the final frontier, but it was made in a Hollywood basement. Even the astronauts themselves have a plaque on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for public television. But whatever, again, this is all just speculation and things that just don't add up to me. And if you Google any of the questions that I've asked so far, you will get some kind of BS explanation for every single one. Because, newsflash, the government has control over Google and the media. Why do you think if you Google any government conspiracy ever, you are bombarded with negative fact checkers? But that is for a whole nother video on a whole nother rabbit hole on a different day. But let me tell you the real kicker, because this is what absolutely solidified to me that we did not go to the moon. There is something called the Van Allen radiation belt that is located between 8,000 and 40,000 miles of the surface of the Earth. Basically, it is a belt of trapped high-energy radiation particles that are more harmful to humans than X-rays. The Van Allen belt is at minimum 3,140 degrees Fahrenheit and at maximum 35,500 degrees Fahrenheit, and the astronauts had to pass through it for an hour to get to the moon. How did a rocket made of stainless steel, titanium, and aluminum make it through the Van Allen radiation belt of at minimum 3,140 degrees when the melting point of stainless steel is 2,500 degrees, the melting point of titanium is 3,000 degrees, and the melting point of aluminum is 1,100 degrees? And then they had to travel 238,000 more miles to the moon after passing through such high temperatures for an hour. If this doesn't raise some eyebrows, let's talk about how we haven't been back in over half a century, even though the technology that we have now is over 10 times more advanced. The farthest that we have sent man since the Apollo 11 missions is 1,408 kilometers, or 875 miles. Remember, the moon is 239,000 miles away. You're telling me that we went 273 times farther back in 1969? And we were able to land the module perfectly on the moon, even though NASA's Apollo guidance computer has less computing technology than a toaster and is less advanced than a pocket calculator. And President Nixon called the moon on a landline 239,000 miles away, even though I can't get service on a back road nowadays. And let's just watch the video of the Apollo 11 module taking off from the moon to head back to Earth.
3, 2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good. Excellent.
Besides the fact that that whole thing looks incredibly fake, at least to me, given the rainbow sparks that flew off of it as soon as it headed up, and it didn't even leave a crater or disturb any dust around it. How did the camera Pan up and focus on the module after everybody had already left the moon. There was nobody operating the camera. You think they did that all the way from Earth back in 1969? And how did the footage get back to Earth after they recorded it on the moon? This was before the internet. This was 1969. And let's not forget that the module had to perfectly reconnect with the command module that had been revolving around the moon this entire time and then head back through the Van Allen radiation belt. Hopefully this is enough for you to start asking questions, but if not, don't worry, I'm gonna keep going. This is a photo taken of the dark side of the moon that clearly shows the proportions of the moon compared to the Earth. The moon is allegedly 1/4 the size of Earth. If that image is true, how can this image also be true? If we were on the lunar surface, the Earth would appear huge. But given this photo, these proportions are absolutely not the same. Hopefully by now we know that NASA is no stranger to Photoshop, given that the man that creates the blue marble image, Robert Simmons, says that it is Photoshop because it has to be.
It is Photoshopped, but
But if you don't believe me and you don't believe him, let me show you some examples. This is the blue marble image from 2012. Take a good look at how big America is in this image. And this is the blue marble image from 2002. Same perspective, same angle, and America is 1/4 the size. Did America just quadruple in size over 10 years, or is this Photoshop? It's Photoshop. Here's another image that NASA put out, taken by the Galileo spacecraft. It's called the Family Portrait. It is supposed to be an accurate image, a realistic photo, literally taken by a spacecraft. You can see the proportions of the moon to the Earth. A moon is 1/4 the size. It's pretty close. But if that image is true, how can this image also be true? This was also put out by NASA. The moon is way smaller or way farther away. Either way, if this image is true, the image that I just showed you could not also be true. I'm just saying that with a $70 million a day budget, you'd think that they'd be able to produce more realistic and more proportionally accurate images, given that they do in fact use Photoshop. And if you still don't think they use Photoshop, let me prove it to you. And before you ask, yes, I do have too much time on my hands, but I am dedicated to exposing the truth because people deserve to know how deep the NASA lies go. If you look closely at the 2002 blue marble image that I just showed you, I've circled all of the identical Photoshop brushstrokes that would be literally impossible if these were real clouds. Let me zoom in and show you what I'm talking about. These are identical Photoshop brushstrokes. The two I've circled in yellow, and then the two I've circled in green are identical Photoshop brushstrokes as well. Same with these two, these two. These two are identical, these two. I can keep going. Pause and look into it more for yourself. Here's another screenshot of that same blue marble image where I've circled the identical Photoshop brushstrokes. I literally have a graphic design degree. This is Photoshop. All of these are identical. And if you still need some more proof, Google an image of a satellite. This is an accurate image put out by NASA of all of the space junk surrounding Earth. If there are thousands of pieces of space junk surrounding Earth, like in the image that I just showed you that is accurate according to NASA, why is there no space junk or even stars in any image of a satellite if you Google them? I'll tell you why, because it's all fake. None of these are actually real. NASA means to deceive in Hebrew, and that is exactly what they are doing. Even the creator of the Saturn V rocket that took the Apollo 11 mission to the moon created multiple movies with Walt Disney about space exploration and space travel. He was literally the technical director of Walt Disney Studios. And he was HITLER's main rocket scientist. And we just trust this guy. Wernher von Braun was one of over 1,600 NAZI scientists / war criminals that were brought over to America to join the government during Operation Paperclip. These scientists essentially set the foundations for the CIA and NASA, which were both founded and began right after these scientists came over. And guess what happened immediately after the CIA was founded? Project MKUltra, where they experimented inhumanely on thousands of Americans without their consent or even knowledge because they wanted to learn how to control our mind. I have an in-depth video about this on my page, but you could literally look this up for yourself. The research is there. It's all over the CIA's website. You just have to look for it. These scientists performed inhumane tests on humans over in NAZI, Germany, and then continued their tests over here when they were brought over to America with the help of the US government. And NASA was founded by the same people, the same scientists that were brought over, and nobody even bats an eye or thinks twice about it. I guess I shouldn't say no one, because there is a huge growing community of people that don't trust NASA and that know that the moon landing was fake, but we are discredited and called crazy because the mainstream media supports NASA. It's not shameful to admit that you have been lied to, but it is shameful to keep supporting this organization when they take over $70 million of our taxpayer money every single day. And before I wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with a few more points. How did Universal Studios know exactly what the world looked like from space in 1929 if we didn't see the world from space until 1946? If this is what the Christmas hats looked like in zero gravity in 1999, laying flat, why is this what they look like in zero gravity in 2023? Maybe they're different hats, maybe they're ones with the wires in them that are supposed to stick up. I don't know, but it's worth noting. Also, why do we have a rover on Mars 125 million miles away and we aren't successfully able to land a rover on the moon now? But what about all of the moon rocks that were taken from the moon mission? Those have to be real, right? Well, given that the moon rock that we gave to the Dutch Prime Minister was proven to be petrified wood, who is to say that all of the other moon rocks are actually from the moon? This will be my final point/question. How did it take us 9 months to retrieve 2 stranded astronauts 260 miles above Earth's surface, but we went to the moon 239,000 miles away over 50 years ago? Hopefully this video was enough for you to start asking questions and doing your own research, but unfortunately I know I'll probably receive a ton of comments calling me stupid because I don't blindly trust NASA like the majority of the public.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Idialenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.